to be able to back the secondary data that they use. So if you ask me about the methodology, that's how come they got, or they were able to come up with these projections, which they call a preview of the 2024 elections in Ghana.
Now let's go to the part about the runoff. Explain that for us.
Yeah, although they expect the NDC to win 11 out of the 16 regions, they still are not clear who could win in terms of a one-touch victory, because they believe that the presence of Alan Tremantin and Nana Kwame Bediako, known as Cheddar, could pose some sort of risk to either the MPP or the NDC, and could send the election to a runoff, because they believe that the combined third forces, if you combine all their votes, could have a significant component of the total number of valid vote cards, because mind you, need 50% plus one. And if any of these, third forces are able to eat into any of the two big parties' votes, that could really harm them. And they believe that it could push the election to a second round.
Thank you, Isaac Kofi, member of our research desk here at Joy News. Now let's stay with the NDC, because the opposition NDC is claiming to have uncovered fresh evidence of illegal voter transfer in voters' register as it continues to demand a forensic audit of the register. On Tuesday, thousands of party members and supporters poured onto the streets across the country to put pressure on the EC after the Electoral Commission admitted some of its officers illegally transferred votes from Tamale South to Pusiga. According to the Deputy Director of Elections and IG of the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, the party's continuous scrutiny of the voters' register has revealed more of such illegal transfers. This time in the Tolon constituency. He spoke earlier on AM Show.
Now, what we have seen in this current administration is that, led by Madam Jean Mensah, for the first time, people have not appeared before returning officers. Somebody just sat at the Electoral Commission office and start transferring them by using their voter ID numbers. They are using their pictures and transferring them from their IT system. And you think that...
And that's what you say is contrary to the law.
Contrary to the law. And which accounted to the 15,000 we are talking of. So what happened is that these 15,000 people, although their names are in the register, but they don't know that they have removed them from Accra, throw them all the way to Bolga, some to Wa, some to... Like the Tamale episode. When they quickly came out, they said, oh, only 38 people from Tamale. We have reversed it. It's not true. Tolong, we just discovered massive transfer of people like that.
Have you produced this evidence? Have you submitted it to the EC?
Yes, we met the Electoral Commission. We wrote to them. You see, NDC is a political party that want to...
You submitted names and all of that to the EC?
We went and met the Electoral Commission, did a presentation, showed them the software. We're very charitable. We used to compare the two registers and where we are able to get where they did these transfers without the path, and indicated to them, you've transferred this person to this person. There is no path. You have not indicated the person in the absent voters list. How come you've done this? This person, you have removed them. This data, 243,000 of them, is an old data you have picked from the 2023 transfer window and added it to this. What is the purpose of that? We've indicated it to them. Their IT officer was there. He tried to explain one thing. You see, the girls were very charitable on the NDC. We caught him.
While a former MPP presidential aspirant, Dr. Kobna Arthur Kennedy, says he is surprised about the EC and MPP's position on the NDC demands. According to the US-based physician, even the NPP should have joined the protest, as an audit of the register will inure to the benefit of all parties.
The demands that the NDC are making on the surface of it seemed very mundane. And indeed, the MPP, to its credit, have made very similar demands in the past. The question is why there is the need for a demonstration before those demands are met. They should be enshrined in our constitution. You know, you do a register, you exhibit it, people correct the errors. And indeed, the Electoral Commission cannot audit its own work. For one thing, it is moving to a position where its own integrity and impartiality is coming into question. When you go as far back as the election petition that went to the Supreme Court, and the fact that sometimes MPP lawyers were defending the EC more than its own lawyers, I think it bears saying that an independent set of eyes will lend credibility to the process. And I am baffled as to why the MPP, who so eloquently championed these same causes, is now lost and doesn't seem to see the wisdom in it. Let us be consistent in our politics, as the MPP representative has just eloquently said. It's just that the MPP should be looking in the mirror.
But the Director of Election and Research of the MPP, Evans Nimako, says the MPP will not be drawn into the unreasonable demands being made by the NDC and will continue to focus on its campaign to make Dr. Bawumia the next president of Ghana.
Exhibition is supposed to help with corrections. Where your names are only spelled, you've been deleted, you either fill for inclusion or corrections to be made to order. And for me, that is exactly what the EC must do, and that's exactly what the EC did. That corrections are to be made to data, and then the final certified register will be made available to political parties. If you've gone through it and you've realized that there's a certain 243,000 who have been transferred, captured from 2020 to 2024,
right?
You pointed out to the EC. Okay. You're saying that 15,000 people have been legally transferred. You point it out. Okay. You are not prepared to submit the list to EC, but you are prepared to give it to a committee chaired by either Dr. Arthur Kennedy or Imani or whatever. That is what you want to do.
They say they will hand it to the external forensic auditing
and that's what I'm saying,
entity.
That we the new Patriotic Party, we have 79 days to D-Day, December 7th.
Okay.
We are focused and will not be detracted by this call now.
Okay, all right.
It will serve no purpose.
Evans, I think that point is clear. I just want a quick, the short code, is it still working from both your ends? Is that short code still operational?
Well, as we speak, I've not assessed. The exhibition period is over. So
okay, all right.
Even if you do and there are issues, I don't know how you report it.
Well, let's take you back to our earlier story where SMB Intelligence, an African-focused geopolitical research firm, released projections indicating that the NDC could secure victories in 11 out of 16 regions in Ghana, including key swing areas such as the Greater Accra, the Central Western region. However, the firm also warns that the presence of candidates like Alan Kodjo Tremantin and Nana Kwame Bediako could lead to a possible runoff. Well, let's break this down. Joining me now via Zoom is Dr. Kwesi Amachibwating. He's a senior lecturer at KNUST. He's also a political analyst. Doc, thank you for your time here on Election Brief. First of all, 11 regions for the NDC, 5 for the MPP. What's your first reaction to this poll?
Thanks for having me. Actually, elections are what they are, and people who support political parties who always do that, generally from our parts of the world. Otherwise, given the current situation that we have in Ghana, and to me, the issue of the Galamsey is mind-boggling. It calls for a complete change. And I expected Ghanaians to be outraged and to be ready to do what they have to do to bring about that change and to save Ghana. If you ask me, the Galamsey menace alone should be able to bring about that change. So that this particular survey, which indicates that you have 5 regions that are still, standing by the ruling party, is something that comes to me, as a shock. It does so because at the end of the day, elections are supposed to enable the electorates, hold political parties, especially when in government, hold them accountable. That is the only opportunity for us, the electorates, people, to really come in and get the political leadership to be mindful of what they do while in office. If we don't do that, we are supporting impunity. So I'm really taken aback, by this particular study. That is how I say it's a bit surprising to me.
Do you think that the impact of illegal mining could have influenced some of the findings in this survey?
I think so strongly. I've been paying attention to the discussions going on concerning these illegal minings, various suggestions that have come up as to how to, address it effectively. And I don't share in the views that have come up so far. I look at it from a political perspective. My position has always been that illegal mining, Galamsey, is a power issue. It is a political issue. It will take politics to address it. Ghanaians should allow this to become one of the issues for, political change, and that our votes should, be sort of pushed, should be influenced by this menace. Is it true that they are saying that our water bodies are getting spoiled, and that, in a few years' time, everybody is in trouble? We will not be able to drink water from, Ghana. We will have to import water. Is it true that they are affecting food, produce? Is it true that as at now, some babies born have become affected, and a lot of other effects? Are these all true? Or people are simply, bundling some information that simply are not necessarily true? They are not the real situation on the ground. If indeed all these are true, we should be outraged, because this is happening to us due to inaction by the political leadership of the day. Is it the case that they are interested in this gold and so Ghanaians can go to hell?
Well, these are legitimate questions you are asking, and that's why organized labor, they have issued an ultimatum to government. They've been engaging government. That meeting ended inconclusively yesterday because they're trying to get government to declare a state of emergency. We're monitoring that shortly and also give updates in subsequent bulletins, but I would like us to focus on the findings in this report. It also speaks about the possibility of a runoff. Now, what are the odds that the presidents of Alan and Cheddar could push the polls to the second round?
It's got to do with, as far as I'm concerned, it's got to do with their ability to come out strongly and also endear themselves to Ghanaians, that they have what can bring about change in the system. And if they are able to come out and do their campaign very well, obviously, there's a lot of disappointment in the system. So if they are able to come out and work hard with their message, definitely they will strike some chords, and then possibly, like the study shows, their actions, their presence might, push the whole thing into a second round. Possibly. But then if the NDC is able to come clear, I think the NDC should also come out loudly about this Galamsey thing. What exactly is their position if they should come into office? They should come out with some radical, positions on that, because people are wondering what it is that they are not so loud on this issue.
Well, the NDC put out their manifesto, and in their manifesto, they have spoken about what they plan to do with illegal mining. They say they will declare war on illegal mining. But then let me bring you back to the key findings of this report. I see how passionate you are about issues of illegal mining, and it's a conversation we're having at 3 p.m. The reason why you should tune in to the polls, expanding the impact of illegal mining and see what we could do as a country to ensure that we do not end up importing water in the future. Now, looking at the report, is it safe to say that the 5 northern regions can be classified as key battlegrounds in this year's election?
That is what they are suggesting. And I don't think it is anything that comes to me as a surprise, given the fact that, Dr. Bawumia has done a lot of work there, and definitely NDC has had their own way over the years, and this time round, they also have one of their own who is, if you like, all over the place. And yes, it's gonna be a key battleground. There's no doubt about that.
Let's look at the impact of swing regions. You've been around for a while. Let's look at how significant the impact of swing regions would be in the overall outcome of the upcoming elections.
As of now, I think Greater Accra, Central Region stand out strongly as the swing regions that we want to work with. Eastern Region, according to the study, will be going to, or will be supporting the MPP. Greater Accra is not necessarily doing that. And Greater Accra, the population is big, so that if they really vote for the NDC, then obviously it will strengthen their, chances. The same thing, goes to Central Region. And Central Region, an interesting place, very interesting place, and very difficult to predict, how they are voting. And once again, Central Region, stays with NDC. Obviously, it will boost their chance. Simply, get the whole outcome in a one-touch fashion.
Thank you, Doc, for your time here on Election Brief. Well, some Christian leaders are charging the Electoral Commission to drop its hardline stance over the voters' register and dialogue. The NDC have been demanding a forensic audit of the voters' register after some discrepancies were identified following the voter exhibition exercise. Kweku Asante of our political desk joins us live with details. Kweku, who are these groups and what are their demands?
Well, so they are all coming under the umbrella of the Christian Council of Ghana, Most Reverend Dr. Poboafo, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Right Reverend Dr. Hilad Deladogbe, Right Reverend Dr. Ibrahim Oparekwache, Apostle Eric Namiche, the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, who is also the chairman of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, and a host of other reverend fathers across the country. And they say in this statement that the Electoral Commission, through its actions and inactions, has faced many accusations, leading to loss of confidence and heightened levels of mistrust in the conduct of Ghanaian elections, especially from parties in opposition. Nevertheless, the 2024 polls are being conducted under intensified skepticism, particularly due to concerns raised by the main opposition NDC regarding the 2024 voters register and related issues. They say they call on the Electoral Commission to elevate the consultations and participatory methods and ensure increased transparency and improve communication with stakeholders to cultivate confidence and trust. But now we know that the Electoral Commission has been clear that they are not going to give in to this demand for an audit. The Electoral Commission has made it clear that that is not necessary. But these Christian leaders said the EC must keep its options open, not take a hardline stance, continue to dialogue until you get to the point where both parties can come to an agreement so that we can safeguard the peace and security of the country in the 2024 election.
Thank you, Kweku Asante of our political desk. Well, the paramount chief of the Gosu traditional area in the Ahafo region, Nana Akwesi Bosompra I, is urging the Electoral Commission to heed the demands of the NDC for an audit of the voters' register. Speaking during a tour of the Ahafo region by NDC flagbearer John Dramani Mahama, he said the voters' register needs attention and the EC must listen. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, Maxwell Agbagba has a wrap of that.
Yeah, maame no diaba. And I said Electoral Commission diaba. Say o person share NDC. Me share last paragraph no. Me say o sa brofo de so aka mo share. Yes mani pa foforo mra no me hwehwem. Na say me ti hai ne yewura tumfo ayi na nanom say mra ne me hwehwem ayi mu am yewura gya mama trankonwa enhwehwem. Matranko hwehwem na wo se waka bone a wo besan ba biem. Ti abesre onwo no ho na Ghana asundue wo Ghana wo Ghana nti esre no the NDC for kan biara no onfa meto ya hwehwem na bi nimu a wo isi anchi obi wo kura ebo wa baso na me de minim se sum wo ho ntia ko ba bi esum ni enu ntumi ka se emfa kane anko mra esum ni ho e den na baka se emfa kane anko nti me gina ha ase go so mahene me kasa ase go so mahene se me challenge maame ne say ye din a ya tworo no ya de bi wom ye din a ya tworo no hia deliverance o ma ye hwemu ye na ya to oba no wie na do obenya no na wanya No be a quada, no yanya sunky. Why any Kenyan toka? Tia stretch any amponse. O tia mene. Miss Reno. Omra from Ashoba. Omra from St. Mary or who Jesus Mayen. No who bear mother. Miss Reno. On yes, Mary. The American.
That was the Paramount Chief of Goso Traditional Area. Let's do some other stories now. The former minority leader in Parliament, Haruna Iddrisu, has called on Ghanaians to reject the campaign mantra of the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which urges Ghanaians to vote for him to upgrade the country. Haruna Iddrisu says all economic indicators of the country have taken a nosedive, wondering whether the NPP leader intends to upgrade the hardship that the people are going through. Speaking at the campaign of the NDC at Tripong in the Naudoli Kalio constituency, he warned that as a result of what he describes as the monumental failure of Dr. Bawumia in the last 7.5 years, he cannot be trusted, urging voters to reject him in 2024 polls. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports with more.
The former minority leader in Parliament, lawyer Haruna Iddrisu, last out at the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP administration for promises made to Ghanaians, but has become a monumental failure, stating that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cannot be trusted.
We can't trust you today, we won't trust you tomorrow. You said you arrest the depreciation of the cedi. It was $1 4 cedi. Today is 16 cedi, $1. What have you done about that? You told us inflation was too high under John Dramani Mahama. Inflation went to 54%, up to 23%. We cannot trust you. National debt was only 120 billion as of January 2017. Today is 745 billion. The money they have wasted, you know, it's only Akufo-Addo who can even promise God and disappoint God. He said he'll give God a cathedral, a church. He has given him the Naudoli mining pit, an example of it in Accra. The money they have spent on the cathedral, 998 million Ghana cedis, can connect all the communities here to rural electrification. $58 million multiplied by 16. The Bawumia exchange rate.
Continuing, the Tamale South legislature opined that what Ghana needs is a reset and not an upgrade, poo-pooing the campaign mantra of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Do you upgrade suffering? So it means he says he's coming to upgrade our what? Suffering. Do you upgrade prices of goods when they are very high? So if you vote him, you will come and he will upgrade your problems. So vote for John Dramani Mahama, who has promised to reset Ghana.
Well, that's it for Election Brief. For more news, please log on to myjohnwan.com. My name is Faustina Sabo. Good afternoon.